Hello YouTube and preppers, this is the Comms Prepper. We're out at the retreat location and we're going to upgrade the firmware in the Morningstar TS-MPPT-60 charge controller. Now before I came out here I downloaded the firmware update software program and the two processor files, so I have them on the laptop there. Now to update the software you can only use a COM port or a serial connector. So on the laptop there hanging off the edge I have a USB to COM port adapter connected to a standard serial cable, DB9 connections, coming up into the charge controller. Now I've already done some site prep. I took the faceplate off, which is sitting over here on the generator transfer switch. The first thing I did is I disconnected power coming down from my array, because that's part of the process. And then I actually had to disconnect one of the leads from the array to make room to get the serial cable plugged into the circuit board in the back. It was kind of a tight fit, but I got that done. Now I've already shot some of this video, so through the magic of editing I'm going to have to put it all back together. And the computer desktop screenshots that you'll see doesn't have any audio, so don't think there's anything wrong with your computer. All I did was capture the video portion of it. There's no audio. But the process here for updating firmware is, of course, download the loading software, the two processor files, disconnect your array, then you have to disconnect power to the charge controller, and when you run the application on the PC, during that process it'll tell you when to turn the charge controller back on, and that's when the computer recognizes the COM port on the charge controller and starts loading the firmware. So I'm going to show you that because I've already captured that. And then once that's completed, then you have to reload your custom configuration. So I have a custom configuration file. So the software warns you in the beginning to make a backup copy before you load the firmware. So I did that last night. So once you load the two processors, update, then you go back in, reset the charge controller, load your custom programming file back into the unit with the MSView program, reset the charge controller once again, and your firmware should be updated. We'll actually cut here, and then we're going to go back to the screenshot portions, and this will be the end of the audio track for this video. I'm sorry guys, something I'd like to add that I tried to capture in the last trip up here and the video didn't come out very good before we roll into the software piece of this video. On this charge controller, of course, I did a custom configuration to match my Trojan batteries. But something else I did is when I programmed the LED voltages here that you see in this display, I took a piece of Scotch tape and put it over this blank area here. And then with a pencil, I wrote in the state of charge or percentage charge for the Trojan batteries, what the percentages are, and then the trigger voltages between the different colors. So I hope you can see that. But anyway, what I have here is green to green yellow. In between that, the trigger voltage is 12.7 volts. Then from green yellow to yellow, the trigger voltage is 12.5. From yellow to yellow red, it's 12.37. From yellow red to red, which is the 50% point, is 12.10 volts. So not having to come here and actually look in the display, I can get an idea of the state of charge of my batteries and where I stand by looking at the LEDs here. And if I can't remember, I can come over here as a quick reference. And again, I did this with Scotch tape, so if I ever have to give this to somebody else or change batteries, I can pull off the Scotch tape, put a new piece of Scotch tape down, and write the new values with pencil. So now we'll roll into the video portion of upgrading the firmware. And again, I'd like to thank you guys for watching and hope you enjoy this video.